Every time these two young quarterbacks take the field, it's not just a game, it's a battle for legacy. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, two first-round dreams, two franchises hungry for glory. But which one will rise higher? Which one will we be talking about 10 years from now as the true face of this era? Today, we're breaking it all down, and trust me, this is not the comparison you think it is. The Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans just wrapped up a heated, physical joint practice in Houston, and man, you could feel the tension from the very first snap. It was sweltering 80 degrees at 8 a.m., but the heat wasn't just coming from the weather. Every drill, every hit, every whistle was laced with energy. And that's when it hit me. This isn't just another practice. Whenever these two teams meet, now or even 20 years from now, one debate will always come up. Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. Off the field, they might be friends, but on the field, their careers will forever be linked, compared, and argued about, just like Manning versus Brady or Burrow versus Herbert. Both are now entering year three, and neither has had an easy ride. Each has faced pressure, criticism, and high expectations. But the question burning in my mind, and probably yours too, is simple. When it's all said and done, who's going to have the better career? And to answer that, we've got to look deeper at ownership, at coaching, at culture. On the Texans side, you've got Kel McNair steady, but with a history that hasn't always been pretty. The franchise before Stroud was, let's be honest, a mess. Toxic locker room, off-field scandals, and a reputation that ranked among the league's worst. Stroud's talent has changed the conversation, but the scars of the past are still there. Meanwhile, in Carolina, David Tepper has been aggressive, sometimes reckless aggressive. He's swung for the fences over and over. Rookie coaches, big name hires, culture overhauls. If it doesn't work, he burns it down and starts again, no matter the cost. Millions lost? Doesn't matter. Wrong fit? Gone. The man is obsessed with finding the winning formula, even if it takes him through every mistake in the book first. Right now, in 2025, I'm betting on Tepper's all-in mentality getting the Panthers to a Super Bowl before the Texans. It's risky, but that's the kind of owner who can change a franchise's destiny overnight. And then there's coaching. The Texans have Demico Ryans, a former NFL linebacker, battle-tested from the legendary Shanahan coaching tree. Defensive-minded head coaches are rare, and Ryans has built a ferocious defense that will hit you in the mouth and keep hitting. Players would run through a wall for this guy, and they've been doing it since day one. Carolina's Dave Cannells, a totally different story. Young, unproven, never played in the league, but he's been shaped by winning cultures in Seattle under Pete Carroll and in Tampa Bay with two Super Bowl banners in their history. His energy is infectious, maybe even a little cheesy, but if he starts stacking wins, nobody will be laughing. His tale is still being written. So here's my question for you. If you had to choose right now, whose career are you betting on, Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? Drop your take in the comments and rate your confidence in your pick from 1 to 10. This debate is just getting started. Right now, I'll admit it, this part feels like a cop-out. Dave Cannells has the vibe, the buy-in, and a locker room that seems ready to follow his lead. On paper, things look like they're trending his way. But if we're talking about proven impact right now, the edge still goes to Demico Ryans when it comes to leading a young quarterback to NFL success. Ryan stepped in on day one with instant credibility, years as a hard-hitting NFL linebacker, then as the architect of a ferocious San Francisco 49ers defense that was a perennial playoff contender. He walked into Houston with gravitas and a blueprint, and you can see it paying off for CJ Stroud. And here's where Ryans really has the advantage: defense. I always go back to the 2015 Carolina Panthers. Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, Kirk Coleman, Kawan Short, Josh Norman. That defense gave Cam Newton shorter fields, takeaways, momentum, the kind of support that helps a quarterback become MVP. Defense wins you games. It buys your offense breathing room, and right now the Texans have that formula more dialed in than Carolina. Houston's roster is stacked with proven NFL talent. Henry Tuoto'o and Will Anderson Jr., both Alabama alums. Sheldon Rankins and Danielle Hunter in the trenches. Derek Stingley Jr., now one of the league's highest paid corners. CJ. Gardner Johnson currently injured, but a game changer when healthy. These guys have already shown they can perform at a high level in the league. Carolina? They've got building blocks, J.C. Horn, Derek Brown, but outside of Panthers fans, those names don't spark national conversation. Yet, Horn has shut down potential, but needs to stay healthy. Brown is a force in the middle, but doesn't get mentioned among the top DTs that could change this season. The Panthers are earlier in their defensive journey. They've added promising rookies like Nick Scorton, ironically sidelined by a heat injury in his home state of Texas, and Prince Milan, a late-round steal with mini Brian Burns, speed off the edge. Training camp standouts like DJ. Wanham are flashing big play potential. They've beefed up the defensive line too. Bobby Brown Rams and Turk Wharton Chiefs bring serious size. Reports from camp say they've been stonewalling the run, even against talented backs like Damon Pierce. And behind them, young corners like Corey Thornton and Trevin Wallace are fighting for a name. The truth? Houston's defense is ready now. Carolina's is becoming ready. Both have paths to dominance. One is already walking it. The other is still laying the bricks. The Panthers lost Josie Jewell, not exactly a superstar, but still a steady presence, and that hurts their depth. The defensive line upgrades should help, but if we're being honest, right now the Texans still get the edge. Long term, though, different story. If a Hero Evero can scheme it up and reestablish himself as a top defensive mind, Carolina's defense has the pieces to eventually surpass Houston's. David Cannell said it best last week. This is a developmental program. Coaches and players are here to ascend. If Evero wants another shot at a head coaching gig, this defense has to cook. And if it does, it'll make Bryce Young's life a lot easier. So for right now, I'm calling this a tie. CJ. Stroud benefits from a better defense in the present, but Bryce could end up in the better long-term situation as Carolina's unit matures. Offensive line? No contest. This is Vince Carter in the 2000 Slam Dunk Contest. It's over. The Carolina Panthers take this in a landslide. They had no choice. When your quarterback is 5'10" and barely over 200 pounds, you protect him or you risk disaster. They invested heavily. Damian Lewis injured but expected back. Robert Hunt big ticket, free agent guard. Ikem Ekwonu franchise LT in line for a future extension. Taylor Modonrock, solid RT. Austin Corbett Super Bowl champion, now starting at center. And by all camp accounts, a guy you do not want hunting you in space. And it's not just the starters. Cade Mays could start elsewhere but backs up at guard. Brady Christensen can swing to left tackle if needed. This depth gives Bryce Young a real chance to shine. Houston? Completely different direction. They let go of Laramie Tunsil, one of the key reasons CJ. Stroud thrived as a rookie, and it shows. Texans fans might not say it out loud, but if you slip them some truth serum, they'd admit their offensive line is the biggest concern heading into the season. Jared Patterson, Laken Tomlinson, Titus Howard. Solid, but not in Carolina's class. If I'm betting on one line to keep their QB upright, especially with interior protection, the most important part for both tall and short passers, I'm taking Corbett, Hunt, and Lewis all day. Edge, Carolina Panthers. Now, the final and sexiest category, skill position players. On paper, the Texans have some juice. Even with Joe Mixon out, they've got Nick Chubb, Damon Pierce a stud when healthy, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell if he can ever get back on the field. They added Christian Kirk, though he underwhelmed in Jacksonville, plus Iowa State teammates Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel being a guy I thought Carolina should have drafted. Houston's skill group is interesting, but also a little lopsided. They've got Jimmy Horn Jr., John Mechie III, Braxton Berrios, Xavier Johnson, and Daniel Jackson. Mechie can fly, but outside of Nico Collins, there's a lot of same-type receiver in that room, smaller guys who can separate, move the chains, but aren't game breakers. Christian Kirk is basically the supersized version of that mold. Nico Collins? He exploded last season thanks to CJ. Stroud. a reminder of just how good Stroud is. Rookie Jaden Higgins looks promising. Crisp routes, strong hands, physical at the catch point. Dalton Schultz has been a sneaky great addition at tight end since coming over from Dallas. But with Tank Dell sidelined and so many undersized targets, Houston's offense runs heavily through Collins and hopes Higgins can step up early. Carolina's situation? Completely different philosophy. They've spent back-to-back first-round picks on weapons for Bryce Young, and they built a variety of skill sets. Xavier Legette XL, a redemption tour is underway. Hand catches, physical routes, and an attitude that says, throw me the ball or I'll take it. He's the kind of guy who could line up against Houston's entire WR room and hold his own. Tenaroa McMillan T-Mac, big-bodied, high-point specialist. The Rams were ready to trade up to number 8 just to pair him with Puka Nacua. He's already torching NFL corners in camp and has instant chemistry with Bryce from their Cali roots. Jalen Coker, Twitter's unofficial WR1, and no, Twitter is not real life. Still, he's flashed enough to be in the conversation. Adam Thielen, veteran chain mover, reliable as ever, and a potential trade chip for contenders. Hunter Renfrow, if healthy, still one of the best short area separators in football. If you asked CJ Stroud privately which WR he'd steal from Carolina, my bet is he'd take T-Mac in a heartbeat. Carolina's receivers complement each other, speed, size, separation, while Houston's group leans heavily on Nico Collins and hopes someone else pops. Now, let's talk tight ends. I'll be real, Houston wins this one. Dalton Schultz is a proven mismatch. Cade Stover is a sneaky weapon, and Luke Lachey has upside. Our Panthers group isn't quite at that level yet, but keep an eye on JT Sanders, Agent Zero. He's slimmed down, sharpened his game, and could be a breakout star this year. Ian Mitchell hasn't flashed much yet. Today, he even got stripped by a peanut punch, but it's still just practice. And Tommy Tremble? Not available right now. So yes, tight end advantage, Texans. But wide receivers? That's not even close. Carolina's group is stacked, variety, size, speed, chemistry, while Houston leans almost entirely on Nico Collins. Wide receiver advantage, Panthers by a mile. Running backs? Same story. Joe Mixon being out changes everything. I'll take Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, and Travis Etienne Jr. over Houston's room all day. Chuba is a straight-up dog, tough as steel, built in minus 40-degree winters. Rico brings burst and vision. Etienne adds explosive speed and versatility. Running back advantage, Panthers. So if we're talking long-term, not just this season, but careers, my pick is clear. Bryce Young. Here's why. Carolina's ownership is aggressive and willing to build. The defense is long-term upside. The offensive line will be better now and in the future. The skill positions around Bryce are young, deep, and diverse. XL, Tenaroa McMillan, Jimmy Horn Jr., Jaden Coker, weapons for the next 6 to 7 years. Houston, Nico Collins is great but already 27. Christian Kirk is 28. And if your WR2 is 5'11 and 200 pounds in today's NFL, that's a ceiling problem. I believe Bryce Young will have the better career than CJ Stroud.